Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, we talked last week. I told you about how if you make your own lures, it can really enhance your enjoyment of fishing. And we talked about soft plastics, but I want to delve a little bit more into that. And if you were interested in doing that, well, one of my first questions was, so where do you get the plastic? What is the plastic that you're using that you melt down? Well, the plastics comes in containers and it's a liquid form. You buy these plastics, but that's only the beginning. Then you've got to be able to put color to those plastics to make the lure that you're going to fish whatever color you want to make it. And in talking to my buddy Dave, this has become a big part of his life, is really perfecting his ability to make these soft plastic lures. You buy molds, and the molds are shaped in the form of whatever creature or worm or whatever you want to make that lure look like. And there's an infinite number of these almost now, because there's an infinite number of shapes that might appeal to a fish. But the other thing that I wanted you to be aware of, and let's say you're not going to go out and make any lures. Let's go from that step to the step where we're going to go in a store or we're going to go online. We're going to buy these soft plastic lures. And believe me, there's so many choices. It can be staggering. But what I want you to understand is the type of plastic that you choose, whether you're choosing it to make it or whether you're buying these plastic lures for your own needs. The type of plastic is critical, because that plastic can be in all types of different forms, where it can be very thick, it can be relatively hard, and if it's those things, then it's going to be resistant to a lot of tearing and cutting, but it's not going to be as flexible. It's not going to look as good. Or it can be very soft. And the softer you make it, and especially if it's thin, then it's going to wiggle more in the water. And then you can make that plastic so that, again, depending on the chemicals in it, it can be lighter than water. And so you can actually buy plastic baits that, instead of sink down quickly to the bottom, will stay above the water, and they'll almost float along. And so you have to decide, number one, what depth of the water are the fish going to be in that you're fishing for? Are they going to be on the bottom? If they're going to be on the bottom, then you don't want something floating up above them if that's where they're going to be keying to, and vice versa. And let's just take a plastic worm. Let's be as basic as we can. And you can buy plastic worms that are made by almost every single soft plastic company. But some of those worms seem to work better than others. And why? Because they do one of the things I'm talking about better. And Senko worms, Senko, I think it is. But anyway, that's the name of these worms that have become so famous. They're heavy. They're just impregnated by a ton of salt. They're soft. And so when you're fishing them, you can cast them a mile. They're going to sink down. Apparently, if fish do like salt as much as we think, they're going to get lots of salt for their diet, and they just seem to work really well. The disadvantage is, number one, they're expensive, and number two, because of their soft nature, you're going to go through a lot of them. Once you catch a fish or two, they're going to chew them, tear them up, and they're not going to be the same. But my point is, in today's world, unlike when it all started back years ago with the first Mr. Twisters, the types and variations of soft plastics are extensive. And the good thing is you really do have a choice of whatever types that you might think would best fit your fishing needs. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.